So you're interested in starting a sober living facility. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this, and I hope you find it informational. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My phone number is at the bottom of the page, or my number is 484-354-0324. So a lot of people have been asking, how can I start a sober living facility? I need a different exit strategy. The houses I have aren't working as long-term rentals. And I want to back up here a little bit because the most important thing that you have to keep in mind here is that we're providing housing for people in recovery, people that are suffering from alcoholism, drug addiction, or just been through a horrific trauma. And when you just jump straight to, oh, I need to make more money, you're missing the point. And I don't want to say this to, make you sad and get you all depressed, but people are dying from drug addiction and alcoholism. And if you don't know someone who has personally passed because of one of these things, reach out to 10 people around you. And I know you'll find someone's mother, father, family member, or friend that has died because of it. So I say that because I want to just get that off the table and into the air first and foremost, that what we're doing is providing real estate for individuals who are suffering from alcoholism and or drug addiction, and they are in the process and want to become clean and sober. They want to surround themselves with like-minded people and be in a safe place where they can recover from their said addictions. I know I've been sober for 6 years, and it's a really difficult process. And to have a community that knows what you're going through at every step and can give you comfort means so much, and is realistically the reason that I'm here today, because of the people that I surrounded myself with that knew what I was going through. So with that being said, sober living is a passion of mine. It is how I give back to my community at large and how I help others. We partner with sober living facilities in Texas, Arizona, Florida, Colorado, New Mexico, and a few other states. Just because I didn't mention your state here doesn't mean that we can't help you find a sober living facility in your area. We follow the model of being investors first. So there's two different models that you can work with within the sober living realm. And there's probably more, but I'm just going to focus on the two. You can choose to be an operator, or you can choose to be a landlord. If you want to be an operator, I can't really help you too much with that, but I can tell you what that involves. It involves going out and finding the individuals that you're going to fill your home with. And those people are going to be rotating in and out of your home. Some will be there for a month because that's all they need until they get on their feet and can get a good job. And, that's just the stage that they're in. Or they may be there for 3 months or 3 years. So you are going to have a rotating set of individuals that are filling the beds that you have. So you have to keep that in mind as an operator. You will be reaching out to intensive outpatient facilities, other facilities that handle addiction, to say, hey, listen, I've got some beds to fill up. Here's the pictures of the house. This is how we run it. could you use me as a referral base? So I don't specifically run that model. I do have friends that do run that model, and if you want, I can get you in touch with them. But for me, the best use of my time to help people in addiction and recovery is to provide the operators with real estate, because that's really difficult for operators to obtain, because there is a large stigma around sober living facilities. People, all they do is think about, the drug addicts on the street and, wild raging parties and destruction of the home. And while that is a byproduct of drug use and alcoholism, it's not what we're experiencing here. We are on the other end of the spectrum, where people have made a choice to get clean and they want to stop using. So we just partner with operators that are already in business. That's how we work. And we do this because the operators that we work with, they have a system in place that works really well. I am not going to try and reinvent something that they already have done. I don't have time for that, and that's not the best use of my time so that I can help the most people, because ultimately that's what I want to do, is just help people. So, kind of moving to the next step, there's a lot to talk about here. And I think the first thing we can discuss is what size homes generally sober living facilities are looking for. And that is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot home and larger. So, realistically, in a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, they can put anywhere from 7 to 9 people, depending on the size of the home, whether it's 2,000 square feet or 3,000 square feet or larger. But they're really not going to put more than 2 people in a room, maybe 3 people in a room if the rooms are really big. So just keep that in mind. We do really like larger homes, so we are comfortable with homes up to $1 million ARV. But when we have a home of that size, we have to have at least 7 bedrooms, because the maximum amount of people that we can put in a house is around 14. 14 people in a house is just a lot of people. A lot of dirty dishes, a lot of chores, and a lot of opinions on how to do dirty dishes and chores. So it can get complicated after 14 people. So if you know of any 4-bedroom, 2-bath houses, that's a good start. Secondly, for the most part, sober living facilities are not going to be in rural areas. And when I say rural, if you look on a Google map, that is the green sections of the map. Now, me personally, and the way I run my business, is we focus on the major metros, the larger cities. And I know there are large cities that have 100,000 people in them or so. And, we can put some houses in there, and we do. But we're talking about Houston, Texas, Orlando, Miami, Phoenix. There are smaller cities like Tucson, Prescott, Jacksonville. They kind of range all over the place, but for the most part, we just focus on the largest cities, because that's where we can help the most people. That's where the most people are, and that's where the houses are needed. So it makes sense for us to put a lot of our time there. However, we will go into smaller cities like Waco, Texas. That's the one that I can think of right now, where Waco is not a huge place, but it's also not a small place either. So, we covered what size home, 4-bed, 2-bath, 2,000 square feet. Generally, we're looking to stay in a metro area. We prefer homes to be near public transportation. And near public transportation means within a half a mile. You have to be able to walk there without breaking a sweat or spending an hour and a half on your walk, because people in recovery sometimes don't have driver's license and they need a way to get to work. Now, also with the public transportation, we have to be near jobs. So they have to be able to get a variety of different jobs. You know, some people need entry-level jobs, some people need higher jobs at hospitals and construction jobs. So there has to be a variety of jobs in the area. That's kind of the main filters that I expect you to know if you want to do business together. We can talk more in depth if you have any other questions. You can give me a call, send me a text, Facebook message, email, whatever you want. Now, the next part is, you know, how can we do business together, right? I get this question often, you know, what does that look like? As I stated in the beginning, my biggest concern is getting people into homes to get them safe so that they can recover from addictions. Secondly is I've spent a lot of time building the relationships with the sober living facilities that I work at. And here's the example of what I'm afraid of would happen and what I don't want to happen. If I have 30 different facilities that are looking for homes, and I just pass those 30 different facilities out to 30 different investors or wholesalers or whoever you are, and in a year 5 of those now sober homeowners, the rent investors that own those properties, well, if 5 of them are complete knuckleheads and cause a huge problem for the facilities that I work with, that's going to reflect poorly on me. So I am just protecting my reputation and my business, and that's my second concern, is how can I work with you guys to do that? That's probably going to be some sort of JV partnership where I manage the property, I get a little monthly income from the property because I'm managing it, and I retain some equity on the back end. Now, this isn't a black or white situation. This is a gray type of situation. So I'm flexible as long as I'm helping put people into homes to help them recover and my reputation is protected. We can figure out how to best serve the community. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is how do we figure out how to underwrite these properties? And it's a really great question. It's also kind of a complicated question. So how much is a bed worth in a sober living facility? How much is rent worth? How much can we get from the sober living facility per month in rent? I can't really give you a specific number. I can give you some ranges to work with. So the first range is anywhere from a few $100s, $200 to $300 over market rent, all the way up to about 1% of the purchase price of a home per month in rent. So if your house is worth $400,000, you could potentially get $4,000 a month in rent. So that is a big range, I understand. There also is the per bed range, which is anywhere from $75 per week per bed all the way up to $125 per week per bed. I've heard a couple, all these different ranges from all sorts of different facilities. So there isn't a one size fits all solution. And if you have questions, I'd love to help you with that. I spent a lot of time underwriting properties for sober living facilities. So the final part here is, assuming we can meet all the other qualifications for the home, for us to work together, what's the next step? So if you have a house, whether you own it or you have it under contract, or you're thinking about getting it under contract, like you're close to getting it under contract, let's have a conversation. Because what happens is I'll ask for the address and pictures, and I will filter out some properties using, some things that I've learned along the way. And if I think they're good properties for sober living, I will send them to the operators. I'll send them the pictures and the address, and I'll let them look at it. They're either going to say, yes, I like it, or no, I don't. If they say yes, they like it, they're going to want to walk the property so that they can see the layout of the home, the overall condition of the home, the neighborhood, and how many beds they can fit. Now, if it's in a really crappy neighborhood, they don't want to be there. They want to be in B class and A class neighborhoods. We're trying to provide folks that are struggling in life. We're trying to give them a safe place where they can be excited to wake up in every day. And if they're waking up in a C-class neighborhood, probably not a good chance they're going to do well. So that's what they're looking for when they're walking these properties. Is it a good neighborhood? Now, speaking on neighborhoods, we have to talk about HOAs. Sober people, sober living facilities, sober homes, they are a protected class. So there's been case law written in the Supreme Court that says they cannot be discriminated against. However, just because they can't be discriminated against doesn't mean they will try to discriminate against them. They will try to keep them out through the laws written into HOAs. We will fight them. We will take them to court if we have a house and we believe that we are having our rights infringed on. However, if in the beginning, we get to the stage where we're looking at a property and we notice it has a $400 a month HOA fee, we have to ask ourselves, is this $400 a month going to getting someone a golf cart and a job so that they can drive around the neighborhood and measure grass to see if it's a half inch too high or if your car is parked outside the garage? If it's that type of HOA, we're not even going to mess with it. We're going to pick and choose our battles because we are once again trying to provide the best living situation for the tenants of the home who are trying to recover. And if they're in a neighborhood where the neighbors are just going to be a huge pain in the butt, we're not going to put them through it, even if we could win in court. It's not worth the aggravation and the frustration for the people in the home. So HOAs are okay. In Houston, for example, you can't get into a neighborhood without an HOA. But a lot of the HOAs are like $50 a month, and they pay for the lights and the grass cutting and the playground or a pool. Not a big deal. So HOAs are okay. Higher HOA cost, probably not okay. So you can kind of filter out that way. Then going back, if they like the house, once they walk through it, they may have some suggestions or some needs where in the house there may be a office or a formal dining room or a second living room, and they may want to construct some doors, put some doors in those areas to turn them into bedrooms. So there could be some incurred costs there in order to maximize the space. Because the more bedrooms, the more we get in rent. That's the simple fact. So if we get to the point where they say yes, they like the house once they walked through it, what they're going to want to do next is review the HOA docs if there are any. They'll send them to the lawyers to see if they pass the lawyer test. If they pass the lawyer test, we're going to have to figure out where we can get the rent at. They're really good at what they do, and they want the lowest amount possible for rent for their clients. It makes sense. But they also understand that as investors, there's a lot of costs that are incurred with these properties. So it's just trying to come to a middle ground that works for both parties. And there's some back and forth, and sometimes there is just no middle ground, and that's okay. All we're doing here is passing the ball back and forth until eventually we make a basket. If you're not a basketball fan, don't worry, either am I, but I think it's a good analogy. Just keep playing the game until eventually we score. So if you have any questions or you want me to expand this 20-minute video, let me know. 484-354-0324. And my name is Bill Welch, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening.